Well, we got 3 hot days coming, and I think I'm going to spend them in the basement working on other stuff. I also have a plan to put an AC in the window of the shop. I'll get around to that. Maybe I'll show a few shots of that just for grins. You know, it's going to be so hot probably for the next 3 weeks. So it's tough working out here when it's 100 degrees in the shop. Anyway, so things that need to be done that I can do down there. The Rally-Pac. I got to work on the tack. I'm going to fix the clock, or even try one of those quartz clock kits. Don't know yet. The gauges in the dash are a little iffy, and I just kind of want to take it apart and clean it all up, because while I've been working on Betsy here, I don't know if you've noticed in the background, but the dash, the instrument cluster, was in the dash the whole time, and it's just filthy inside and out. First up is the tachometer. Let's get at it. So I have painted the housing here. You can see that this was originally white. That's was the interior color of the GT I got this out of back in 1974 or whatever. Anyway, so this is just the white crinkle paint cleaned up and painted with the satin black Rust-Oleum, and I think it looks pretty good. In fact, it matches the steering column really close. One of the things I did, my chrome rings, these chrome rings here, all the chrome was worn off. And so all I did was I painted it with metallic aluminum paint. You can see what that metallic aluminum paint looks like next to the black. I think it looks pretty sharp, dresses it right up. Yeah, it's not chrome, so it's not original, but I'm not spending any money here other than a can of spray paint, which I already had anyway, so I think these look pretty good. I've repainted that chrome centerpiece with the aluminum too, and that doesn't look bad. Also, you'll see that I have repainted the rings that reflect the light to the face of the dials, and one of these wasn't painted at all. That was the tachometer, and the clock was painted, but of course it had turned brown and black from that arcing points. So now with a fresh coat of paint, they're nice and bright, and hopefully this will really brighten up the tachometer so I can see it better at night. So here's the guts. The tachometer, if you've seen my earlier videos, you knew that it was not sitting at 0, it was sitting at 200. So I set it back to 0, which is as easy as moving that little lever right there. This little lever right here is attached to the spring that returns the meter needle to 0. So when you move it around, the needle changes its position. That also changes the high RPM readings as well. So I just decided that I'd go ahead and calibrate this. Well, I thought I'd show you what I'm doing here. I am calibrating my tack. So what I've got over here, let me just rotate you. What I have over here is a signal generator. I'm just pushing in a sine wave. This is an audio amplifier, and I have it going through an 8 ohm resistor so that I don't hurt the amp. And then I'm driving that signal directly into my tachometer. What I've been doing is adding capacitance here to these capacitors, which is really weird because it's got two identical ones in there piggybacked, rather than one, the value that they need, which I find very curious. So my tack was reading at 3,000 RPM. It was reading about 200 RPM low, and it was about 300 RPM low up here. When I was shifting at 5,400 RPM, I was really at 5,700 RPM. So anyway, so what I started doing is substituting capacitor values in there until I got it to read right, which took 0.15 microfarads across these caps here. So then what I was looking to do was just find a capacitor that had the value I needed, which is 0.22 right here. So I've just soldered that one in place of these, and now I'm going to test it. how this works is, let me get this over. This is a frequency counter. The frequency is in hertz, which is cycles per second. RPM is in revolutions per minute. This is a V8, so it has 4 pulses per revolution. So for any given frequency, see if I take, say, 200 hertz, I multiply it times 60, but then I have to divide it by 4. That's 3,000 RPM. So basically, because it's times 60 and then divided by 4, I'm just going to time it times 15. So the 200 hertz times 15 gives me my 3,000 RPM. So if I set my frequency counter to 200 hertz, I think it should be close to that. I don't know yet. We're going to find out here in just a second. Let's see. Is everything on here? Yeah, it should be. There it goes. So you see it runs up to 3,000. So as I turn up the amplitude, it goes up and up and up and up, but then it reaches a ceiling where it doesn't go up anymore until I drive the circuit way too hard. So I'm assuming that that is the frequency. That's the amplitude I need to test. Okay. So it's saying 3,000. And why am I not getting a... What the heck is going on here? Okay. I don't know what it's doing. Okay. So it's 200.5 hertz is giving me 3,000 RPM. Okay, so 400 hertz will be 6,000 RPM, right? Well, let's give it 400 hertz. I'm showing just over 6,000 at 400 hertz, which should be 6,000 RPM, but it's showing about 6,100. So I have 0.22 here, and I really need 0.215. Oh boy, it's pretty close considering where it was before. So let's see how many RPM off it is. 388 times 15. Okay, so it's 5820. So it's 180 RPM. Let's check it at 4,000 here. 266 hertz would be 4,000. There it is, 266 hertz. And it's showing exactly 4,000. I don't know. I think, I don't know how I can get it any more accurate than that. At 4,000 RPM, it is dead center. At 3,000 RPM, it's dead center. Let's try 5,000. Make sure my amplitude is right here. Yep. It's 333. It's 5 RPM off at 5,000. So I just don't know how I could get it any closer than that. As far as I'm concerned, that's as close as I'm going to get it. You know, and if I wanted to make this a 6-cylinder, all I'd have to do is increase this capacitance here so that it reads higher. 0.22 times 4 divided by 3. So I'd need to change that capacitor to 0.293 or so, around a 0.3 microfarad cap in that place right there would convert this to a 6-cylinder tach. So if, another thing that I thought I would mention, let me go ahead and turn this off now. Now that I'm satisfied that it's going to be on the money. Let me disconnect and I'll show you a couple of other things. This tach used to, it would work perfect in the daytime, but at nighttime it would quit. So what I discovered was happening was that the light bulb was warming up the inside of the tachometer, and this diode was thermally reactive. When I could sit here with the tach running and I could just shoot a hairdryer at it and it would quit, and this diode tested bad, but as soon as it cooled off, this diode would work. So this isn't actually, it was a diode like this one, but so that's one I put in order to fix the tach quitting at night. So that's it. So I'm just going to pull these two big monsters out and put this one in here in a, solder it in permanently, and that'll be the calibration for the tach. It's these things are so easy. They're just a charge pump. The ignition goes through this coil, through the primary of this coil. The secondary is sending out pulses. Those pulses are charging the capacitor, and that resistor is draining the capacitor off. So it creates a time constant. So that's what you're dealing with, is a time constant between the capacitor and that resistor right there. Anyway, it's a really simple design. So they just, other than these capacitors going out of specification after 56 years, and it wasn't off that much. It was only off a couple hundred RPM. First time at the strip, I'm going to have to test to see where I feel that power fall off. The fact that it's at 5,700 RPM still tells me that I've got a valve spring problem. You'll notice the other thing that I did was I painted the inside of this housing. And oh yeah, and there's another thing I do. See that little blue bulb back there? I used to work at Honda motorcycles back in the 70s. And one of the things I ended up with is a whole bunch of cans, little tiny cans of paint, touch-up paint. So I just dipped those bulbs in the blue translucent, and it's a perfect match for the factory color of the dash. That catches you up to what I'm doing. Well, there is the look of the tachometer all assembled. It cleaned up really well. So here's the nighttime look with a blue colored 1895 bulb. I like it. That tachometer was a bit more than I expected, but it turned out good. I'm sorry that it's, I don't know, got kind of technical with the electronics and stuff, but I don't know how to dumb that down and make the video useful. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.